I'll admit it. I have semicolon anxiety. They're confusing. Huh? Well, if that illiterate moron can use it, so can I. Oh, I can't.
I'll admit it. I have semicolon anxiety. I want to know how to use it, but I'm not too excited to try and learn. And I just feel kind of greasy when I or someone else uses it. Mostly because I want to have good grammar. But luckily, I get to speak my words, so you can't see my cobbled together sentences or whether I even used any semicolons in this script.
Hey! Get out!
The OED says it's a punctuation mark indicating a pause, typically between two main clauses, that is more pronounced than that indicated by a comma. Now, that doesn't do it for me. I could replace all the periods with semicolons according to this definition. So today I wanted to take a look inward and ask myself, why am I so afraid of the semicolon? Can I ever drum up enough confidence to even use it? So let's get over our collective fear, or I guess mine, of the semicolon. Or the semicolon, if you prefer the Queens. To begin, let's go all the way back to Renaissance Italy. I see you, Italy, overcompensating with overwrought punctuation. Speaking of overwrought, it was created by Aldus Manutius, a printer and publisher who created the semicolon, and it was employed in his first published work, written by Pietro Bembo. This is where the harder than a pause, but softer than a full stop comes in, because the text was written in a less formal and more spoken tone. For the sake of balance, let's check out what the Merriam-Webster dictionary has to say. A punctuation mark used chiefly in a coordinating function between major sentence elements, such as independent clauses of a compound sentence. So, it's a Renaissance glyph made to slow down a sentence, but not too much. So, let's look at the situations in which to employ a semicolon. Check it out. It has two main purposes, and the first one is amazingly easy. Okay, so say we have a list of cities and countries. They have commas built in, so to avoid commatic, I made that up, overload. It's actually a word, but it doesn't mean what I want it to mean. So we can use a semicolon instead. To make an example, let me list some of the places that Max has been because he won't shut up about them. Lima, Peru, Tokyo, Japan, and Beijing, China. No stress. Easy deployment of a semicolon. Perfect. Now, as soon as I reached 6th grade English, or about 12 years old for you non-Americans, the teacher started using words like clause and predicate as though it wasn't the first time my 12-year-old brain had heard them. Perhaps you learned this all very well, and good for you. But for those like me who didn't know what a clause was and didn't ask for risk of sounding stupid,
Who's Klaus?
Are you stupid? Why do you have a mustache? You're 12 years old!
dumbass. A clause is a complete sentence. It's got a subject that does something, and two related clauses can be mashed together, and the sentence can then be elongated with the use of our semicolon. So then, if I said something like, it's dark out, I can't see, both of those sentences can stand on their own, but they can be joined because one has caused the other. Or how about it's sunny today, I got burnt. Now, we know the burn was caused by the sun, but also there is a more definitive pause that cues the reader to the fact that the speaker feels some shame. If you ask my professional opinion, I would say that generally a semicolon can usually replace a so or because. The two clauses have to be related in some way, by cause and effect or circumstance. And that's the tricky part, because if you think about it, everything is related. Rather, I'm certain I could convince myself that two clauses are related where someone else might disagree. So we know technically how to use it, but do we really know? Maybe grammar is something that's more than just hard and fast rules to give your English teacher a reason to mark you down. What if grammar and punctuation are actually rhetorical devices? I mean, what is stopping me from stopping this nonsense for the sake of the exotic, minimalist sleekness of the M dash? Longer than a hyphen and an N dash, the M dash rejects formality and can replace colons, semicolons, and even parentheses. M dash. It all comes down to rhetoric, because writing is inherently rhetorical. We are using language effectively for persuasion, and any punctuation that will help to clarify this is up for grabs. A question that I had when starting this script was, are there any specific circumstances that only a semicolon can fix? And the answer is no, not necessarily. There are many situations in which letters or punctuation can be replaced with a semicolon, but that is up to the discretion of the author and whether they find that a semicolon or other piece of punctuation would be most effective. I'm famed author Stephen Graham King, and I use the semicolon with confidence and ease. Our most basic idea of punctuation is that it functions similarly to musical notes and rests. Punctuation serves to give us a basic idea of the pace, enunciation, and accentuation of certain sentence elements. In the end, the semicolon is scary because, for some of us, it was taught as a rule that is always right or always wrong. And we don't want to be wrong, because no one wants to be at the receiving end of the grammar Nazi firing squad. And while there are definitely circumstances where semicolons do not belong, it's ultimately up to the author to use punctuation in service of their writing. The semicolon may be a pretentious Renaissance-era chimera here to save us from a deluge of commas, or so we can keep a sentence going on as long as possible, but it's also a tool to distinguish and clarify the author's voice for the reader. For me, I think that the semicolon is an ugly little fella, and I would prefer the sleek modern look of an M dash. But I don't think I'll be quite so fearful of using it anymore. Thanks for watching. Give us some comments with your favorite deployment of the semicolon. And don't worry, this is a safe space. Also, do not forget to like and subscribe and ring the old bell, because it'll really help to build this channel and this community. See you guys next week.